Okay, so we have learned yesterday about the water and carbon and oxygen cycles. No, we're gonna take off your collar. You're not loud. Okay, water cycle is easy. Evaporation, condensation, precipitation, nice and easy. Carbon and oxygen cycle. Picture a human being, picture a tree. The human being breathes out carbon dioxide. It floats over into the tree. The tree absorbs it. It changes it into oxygen. That tree farts out oxygen and we breathe it in. So nitrogen cycle is a little bit more complicated, but I will get it down as simple as we can so we can understand it. So nitrogen, which you're going to see me use just the letter N because that's how it's abbreviated, that's its abbreviation, is a building block for every living thing. You have nitrogen in your proteins like muscles. Nitrogen, this is the basics of the nitrogen cycle here, this next bullet point. Nitrogen moves from the air into the soil, then into living things such as plants, and then back into the air or soil. That's it. There's your cycle. Air into a living thing, back into the air. So it's pretty easy. What this picture is showing is liquid nitrogen. Liquid nitrogen is super duper cold. You can see it right here. It's super cold. So a liquid nitrogen can actually be used to make ice cream instantaneously. You can turn cream into ice cream just like that. So I think that's pretty cool. So the air around you in this classroom right now is actually 78% nitrogen gas. So you are breathing it in right now. I'm breathing it out right now as I'm talking. However, we can't use it. So because of this fact, it should be super easy to get nitrogen. Think of oxygen. If you start to feel lightheaded, you breathe more and you have more oxygen. Yay! When your muscles start to feel weak because you don't have enough nitrogen, you can't just breathe more. It's not going to fix the problem. So nitrogen is actually a little bit trickier. So most living organisms cannot actually use nitrogen when it's in that gas form, when it's floating all around you. So when it's as a gas, we like to call it free nitrogen because it's not combined with anything else. It's free floating, it's free in the atmosphere, it's just all over the place. So that's how we're going to remember it. It's free. It's not locked down. So we can't use it unless it's combined in with something else. So most organisms can only use nitrogen after it has been fixed or combined with other elements. So free nitrogen is all around you. It's floating, it's a gas. In order for you, a human being, to use it, we have to do what's called fixing it. We have to fix nitrogen. So changing free nitrogen into fixed nitrogen is called nitrogen fixation. It makes perfect sense. We are fixing nitrogen right there. Okay, so we're taking the stuff in the atmosphere, all the air around you, and we're turning it into a form that you can ingest or absorb and turn into your body parts. So this is actually done by certain bacteria. You're going to notice we have two very different bacteria friends here, and they are going to help us do some stuff. So we're going to just kind of pause for a second. So what this is it's a legume, such as a peanut plant. These little nodules, we're going to talk more about it in a few slides, but these little nodules are actually bundles of bacteria. And those are where the nitrogen is being fixed, those little bundles. So right here it is. Nitrogen-fixing bacteria live in bumps called nodules on the roots of legumes, such as clovers, beans, peas, alfalfa, peanuts, and some trees. Woo! So this might not be a peanut plant, might be a bean, a clover, alfalfa. I think that word's fun. Alfalfa. So on this picture, what you're seeing is this is the root of the plant. This is probably where the stem will be coming up. These are all roots. And then these little warts or these little nodules are where the bacteria are living. Most likely in this one alone, there's probably 1 or 2 million bacteria. Because remember, bacteria are unicellular and they are super duper small. So there are a ton of bacteria on this root right now. So this is actually an example of mutualism. So pop quiz in your head right now. What two faces are associated with mutualism? Time's up. Happy, happy. So let's talk about how they are both happy here. So bacteria feed on the plant's sugar. So bacteria are stealing some snacks from the phloem. And then the plant is supplied with nitrogen. So it's a trade-off. The plant says, hey, listen here. Listen, Linda, honey. I need nitrogen. I cannot absorb it from the atmosphere like you do. So I got a trade for you. Just like Pokemon cards. I will give you unlimited glucose. I'll give you all the glucose you want, all of the sugar. But in return, you have to give me nitrogen. And the plant and the bacteria, they look at each other and they go, yeah, that sounds great. They're benefiting. They're both being happy here because they're both getting something that's benefiting them. So once nitrogen is fixed, it can be used by producers to build proteins. Remember, producers are autotrophs, are plants. So once that nitrogen has been fixed, now the plant can start to use it. It can start to put it into the leaves and into their cells and into the stems. Nitrogen can cycle many times from the soil to producers to consumers and then back into the soil. So that's what makes this a cycle, just like the water cycle: evaporation, condensation, precipitation, evaporation, condensation, precipitation. It's the same thing. So we're going from the soil into organisms, producers and consumers, and then back into the soil. So that's your cycle here. So far, not too bad, hopefully. So after an organism dies, so far what we have, let's back up. We have this free nitrogen in the atmosphere. We have these little bacteria that live on the roots of plants, and they suck it up, just like a vacuum. They suck in all the air, and they fix it. They turn it into a usable form that we can use the nitrogen. So now the plant has traded some glucose for some fixed nitrogen. The plant has made leaves and stems and cells full of nitrogen. That cow now eats the plant. So now the cow has nitrogen. And you eat the cow because you eat hamburgers or steaks or other things that I don't eat. So now you're getting nitrogen from the cow. But this is a cycle. So how do we get the nitrogen inside of organisms back into the soil? So eventually the bacteria break the nitrogen down back into a gas, and it actually escapes back into the atmosphere. So once an organism dies, let's talk about that cow. So let's say we don't eat the cow because we're all vegetarian, which we're not. Okay. The cow eventually dies. Rest in peace. Let's go with Betsy. That sounds like a cow name. Betsy. So Betsy dies. Bacteria start to eat away at her body because they are decomposers. Fungi, scavengers, all kinds of stuff starts to break down her dead body. Over time, the bacteria in there are going to break apart the fixed nitrogen, and it's going to release it back into the free form. It's going to go back up into the atmosphere. So here's just a simple pie chart showing you that most of the air you're breathing is actually nitrogen, almost 80%. Only 21% is actually oxygen, so I think that's pretty cool. So let's tackle this. It's a picture with a lot of arrows and a lot of words. So I need you to follow my mouse. Okay, I'm going to start up here. So atmospheric nitrogen. Wait. Haha. I need you to follow my laser pointer. So atmospheric nitrogen, what that means is free nitrogen. This is the stuff that's floating all around you. We have two types of bacteria. So we're going to come down this way. Follow the arrow. We have the matchmakers. Nitrogen hates to be single. Hates it. It jumps from one boyfriend to another boyfriend to another boyfriend, and then maybe different bacteria jump from girlfriend to girlfriend to girlfriend. It hates being single. You can see right here, it says N2. It's paired up. So these bacteria down here, they are what I'm calling the matchmakers. They find two single nitrogens, and they're going to combine them to, wait, let me clap. They're going to combine them together to make it fixed. Right here it says fixing it. Then we're going to follow this arrow. it goes into the plant. Right here, you can see those nodules. The nitrogen-fixing bacteria, the matchmakers, they're going to turn it into a fixed form. It's going to go into this plant. Then here's us. Clearly we're not a rabbit, but we are animals. So the rabbit eats the plant. Now the rabbit has all of that nice oxygen, or nitrogen, excuse me. So it went from the matchmakers into the plant, into the animal. Follow the super fat arrow. Decomposers, so bunny rabbit dies, unfortunately. So the bacteria and fungi are going to start to break down that rabbit's body. So we're going to kind of jump around here. Stay with me. Ignore all this other junk. We don't need all of this other junk. So pretend there's an arrow going this way. Denitrifying bacteria. These guys are called the heartbreakers. What they do is they look at a couple and they says, ew, you should not be together. So these bacteria here break up that fixed nitrogen. It takes one atom and it throws it back up into the atmosphere, and then it takes the other single element or atom and it throws it back up into the atmosphere, and it turns it back into a gas. So in simple, it starts as a gas, the matchmakers fix it, it goes into the plant, into the bunny, the heartbreakers break it apart. That's it. The rest of this junk you can learn in college. Okay. I'm keeping my laser pointer. I like it. This should be easy. The next 2 slides, you should have heard of this before, so I'm going to buzz through it. Renewable resources are resources that will not run out because they are replaced as quickly as they are used, such as water, corn alcohol, solar energy. So the sun is a really hot ball of energy. That's its only job. Well, it's not alive, so it doesn't have a job technically. But we can use the sun infinitely. We can use solar panels, we can use all different types of stuff, plants, your skin, all of that stuff absorbs sun energy. And guess what? We're never going to run out of sun until like a couple 100 billion years from now when the sun explodes. But that's a long time from now, so we don't need to worry about it. Same thing with water. The water that you're drinking in your water bottle right now, most likely has been inside of a dinosaur. Water is renewable. We recycle it. It goes, we know this, evaporation, condensation, precipitation. It cycles, and there's only so much water on Earth. So the water that's in your water bottle could have been in China a couple years ago. Heck, even a couple months ago. It could have been inside a dinosaur. Maybe it's whale pee. You don't know. Let that sink in. And then the other one is non-renewable resources. This is when humans are using these resources faster than they can be replaced. Okay, so I'm trying to think of an example that, Oreos. I eat more Oreos in a week than I want to buy. So they are a non-renewable resource. I eat a whole sleeve of them, and then I look at my wallet and I say, I can't afford to buy anymore. Okay, so that's just a fun example. Coal, oil, natural gas are actual examples of a non-renewable resource. So coal and oil come from dead stuff a bajillion years ago. That's not true. A couple thousand years ago. So dead dinosaurs, dead plants, dead marine life, dead anything else that's not living anymore. And it got shoved down into the bottom layers of Earth, and it got crushed up, and eventually it turned into coal. So real coal, like in the shovel, is actually dead organisms that have been compressed. So these are non-renewable. It takes thousands of years to make coal. So every time we make a new coal mine, we are using a non-renewable resource. It's not easy to remake these or this substance. We can make synthetic coal, so that's kind of nice. But oil, we're really having an issue because oil is much better if it's natural. You can buy natural or synthetic oil for your car. So that was that. Should not be too difficult. I tried to simplify that cycle as best I could, but it is a nasty one, I'm not going to lie. So go to Google Classroom or look up on the front whiteboard to figure out where you need to go next. If you have any questions, see an adult in the classroom, and we will be able to help you.